Greetings YouTube neighbors. So I'm finally ready to do my review of the General XP4 1000. So I bought this thing actually back, I think actually in October. I got it right before Christmas and now I've been driving it for a few months. So as you can see here in lovely Minnesota, spring is starting to show up. We didn't get a major snowfall this year. One of my goals was to try to really show it off in the snow. But actually, since I've owned it, we never had a major snowfall. So it did great in the small stuff we had in the ice, but I think we're gonna have to wait till next year to give it a good snow test. So kind of like with all my reviews, I like to do the good, the bad, and the ugly. I've already done a lot of modifications to this machine. A lot of that is personal choice. It has nothing to do with insufficient how it was designed. It was just, it fits my needs. So the main thing you can see here, and you can't see it on this door, is I added the cab system with the heater. Minnesota, I want to use this thing all year round. This is my four-wheeler, and when it's -10, nobody wants to go four-wheeling unless you have a heater with some type of cab. So we did that. It does work very well, I can report. When it's really, really cold, we had a couple -20 weeks. It's mediocre. It's tolerable, but it's not something you're going to want to go riding in for 4 hours. In this weather where it's like 30 degrees, if you don't like the cold, the cab with the heater is going to smoke you out. It's going to produce more heat than you're going to want in there. So it's pretty awesome. Couple things with this model. So it comes with the arched A-arms, which is one of the reasons I went for the XP4 versus just the normal. The A-arms, when you get underneath here, they're actually arched, and that's in an effort to basically expand your ground clearance. So you still have a lot of ground clearance right here, right next to the tire. It also comes with 30-inch tires, which is awesome. I vastly prefer that, and I'm even thinking about going further and getting 32-inch tires, just because it's so muddy around here that extra ground clearance and tire surface area will help you get out of tight spots. One thing that, not unique to Polaris, but Polaris does this on their models, is it comes with a winch. Can't recommend that enough. That'll save your marriage, I'll have you know, because I've been stuck in some pretty nasty spots without a winch, and that is a lifesaver. So first, looking at the front of the machine, obviously this is the full tip-out windshield. Again, it's mainly because of Minnesota weather. I like actually having the windshield up, but I also need something solid for the heat, so I went and spent some money and did this. It's really nice. It's very expensive. And then I did the wiper too. Now I've seen on other videos people have done a cheap wiper solution. I would actually go look that up on YouTube instead of buying the Polaris one. This one is not, I don't know that it's worth the price of admission. I would recommend trying to come up with a cheaper solution instead. It's not that it's terrible, it's just not worth the money I paid for it. One thing that I really liked about the General option with this front rack, you'll see that I've already got this thing set up, and generally what I throw up here is my chainsaw. It sits in here real nice. I put the bar right in here, but if you want to put a shovel, some other tools in here, this is an awesome little thing, and it pops out super easy. Just unclip it, and away you go, and you can take it off. It's that simple. Getting under the hood here, another thing I really liked about the Polaris was how this is set up in here, where it's really easy to plug in accessories. So this is the windshield washer fluid accessory. I also have a blinker system in here, and I am actually part of what's wired is actually the powered windshield wiper. I'm going to be getting a cab light soon enough, and then it also has the horn. So blinker system and horn. I installed that myself. It's not terribly challenging. Really nice. You know, depending on your state and local rules, dictates whether you need that to be road legal. I don't believe in Minnesota you actually need that system, but it is nice to have a horn. It is one of those just kind of simple convenience features to get somebody's attention if you need to. This hood is always kind of gimmicky, but I think I got it on. All right, so one kind of shortcoming with the cab system is there's no great way to get a rear view mirror. So they have a center one, but you have to move it so it doesn't negatively interact with the windshield wiper system. Unfortunately, when we installed it, we actually didn't move this thing far enough over and ended up shattering the mounting piece. So I had to glue it back together. It's It's workable, it's usable, but it isn't great. So what I came up with is these dog-eared mirrors for a Ranger. It isn't made for this machine. Found on a Ranger. These are pretty big mirrors that are from Amazon. And what I did is I basically bolted them right through the door. So this, because they're dog-eared out, even with the cab system on here and kind of covering this area, you can still see in these mirrors and see behind you. This is a bigger machine as far as a 4x4, and so the mirrors are really, really important to figure out where that back tire is. And because of how they're angled, I can see that back tire and I can see the vehicles behind me. So it's definitely something I rang. It's a cheap investment. It's like 30 bucks. I highly recommend it. And I think Polaris should come up with something a little bit more official than what I have, but mounting it to the door has been a successful tactic. I'd highly recommend it. One of the big reason I went to this model is because I wanted my wife and my son to be able to come with me. I definitely use the four-wheeler more than anybody, and I mainly use it just to tool around the property and do little wood projects, cutting down trees, loading it up, bringing it to the boiler. But actually the extra cab space is really nice. I have tools. There's this ROPS bar here, and so you actually can use this space to put some tools in here. Open this door. And so I have a fire extinguisher in here that's on a quick mount, and then a belt replacement kit. So that's right there. It's nice. You just hose clamp them in, and they're locked in there. I've had no issues. Now, one thing on the back seats to keep in mind. My goal is that everybody would just like to ride wherever they want, and they would enjoy the back seats. The back seats are nice. They're actually the same seat as the front, but there is fights over who gets to sit in the back because it's not as great of a viewing point. You'll see I have a booster seat back there, so my 6-year-old can actually see good enough and he can enjoy the ride. Otherwise, just how these doors sit up so high, plus these cab mounts, it sits too high for a kid to really enjoy it back there without some modifications. I think that could be adjusted in the design phase. I don't know, it depends on really what you want it for. The booster seat idea isn't terrible and it works out pretty good. One thing that my wife wanted with whatever machine we ended up going with, I wanted a sporty model, she wanted something that worked. So this comes with the dump bed, which is right here. It's got handles on both sides. You just pick it up and it's spring assisted and it does that. Works fine. I've used it for a lot of wood. I got no real complaints other than the location of the handle. You'll notice it's right above the tire. And so when you're ripping around and tearing up things like I do, this thing's always just full of gunk. So it's real fun to go through the mud, go dump your bed, and then get full of junk afterwards. So small complaint. Probably could be worked on. I mean, if you just moved it up here so it's above the fender flare, it wouldn't be an issue, but not a real big deal. It's certainly not a deal breaker. Moving around, again, not unique to Polaris, but Polaris does this. It's a single open tailgate, which is awesome. Some manufacturers, you got to do the two-hand system. And how many times do you go to the back of your bed and you have something in one hand and you just need to open it to throw it in? Happened to me a lot, so we went with this, and I actually like that design and layout. Another thing I bought for this is just a little addition, was a combo hitch. So it's a 2-inch ball, just a metal post with a drop pin hitch, all in one, so I never have to take it off. Works great if you want to pull something, if you want to attach it and just move things around the property. Works really good. We use it to pull the sled a little bit this winter, so yeah, that's pretty much all the major stuff. The back window, I just went and got the cheap version. Fun fact, be careful how they clamp in the back. Not all of them will work with the cab system. So the clamps that went on wouldn't work with this, so I just hose clamped it on, and it's been working fine. No major issue. Another nice thing is they come with roofs. I don't know why you would sell it without it. It's kind of one of those things that's the first thing everyone buys because you can't have the sun beating on you all day, every day. It's just an extra thing Polaris does. It would be nice if everybody sold more complete machines so you didn't have to buy the machine and then get a list of 12 accessories you don't want to forget afterwards. It's one thing I appreciated. Stepping more into the cab, one thing, pro tip for all of you, these seats come out and there is basically empty spots below them. And I believe it's both on the driver's side and the passenger side on the 4-seater model. So on the other side, I have my tire repair kit and a tow rope. So it's another place to put things. In the back seat is actually the battery on this side and the gas tank on the other side, so you don't really have space back there. But the battery it comes with is a pretty robust battery. I've let this thing sit overnight in -15 and then go and cold start it in the morning, and it went fine. It went really good. So I really appreciate that with the design. They are, I believe they're designed actually out of Roseau, Minnesota, so they're more designed with the cold in mind, which is outstanding. There's nothing like trying to go to your machine and trying to start it and you ain't starting it. So going more into here, the seats are nice, they're comfy. This is my first bucket seat style machine like this. I actually really like it. It does a good job of holding you in the door because it has a interior and exterior door handle. It's really convenient. I really like it. I've been in a couple other machines. The doors were actually irritating. This one, I actually prefer it. It's nice that something else keeps you in the machine, because this thing is not missing one thing, and that's gusto. It will put your head in the back of the seat in the right conditions. So, and that's with no tuning mods, no clutch modification. This is basically, the performance is right out of the factory just like it is. Looking into the machine, so a couple. All right, so here's the gear select. 2 nice cup holders, nice little spot to throw some stuff. Of course, in the dog days of COVID, you got to keep some masks around. So it's a good, nice place to keep masks and not let them get muddy. This thing comes with an excellent sound system and Bluetooth radio. A lot of machines, you got to add that stuff after the fact. This one just comes with it. It works outstanding. You can go 50 miles an hour down the highway or down the road, keep the music going, and you can still hear it. Now, it is loud. It's definitely not a car quality audio system, but it works really good. This is the blinker system I added with it, and then it comes with the little horn. Simple, but really useful. Here's the cab heat system. Again, really simple, only has heat. They don't make machines like this with AC. And then wiper, winch, pretty much all wired. The place I bought it from basically installed everything for free as long as I bought the equipment through them. And Polaris offers veteran discounts, so for those of you out there who qualify for veteran status, it's something to keep in mind. It was a very hefty discount when I bought both the machine and the accessories. So it's kind of one more selling feature. That's it as far as just kind of the general overview. All the stuff I don't like about it are kind of small, and actually right now, if you want to come in, I'll grab the camera. The major complaint I have is actually viewing out the windshield. So right here is probably where about a 5'5" person would sit and would see out the window, which that's great. But what happens when you're 6 foot like me, this is your primary view. It sits way too high. This whole thing up here is actually arched, and thus, if you pan out, you can see the highest spot is right here, and then it arches down where this ROPS is. Now, if the windshield started here, it wouldn't be a problem, but the problem is the windshield starts so much further down, thus obscuring my viewpoint. So I'll kind of lean down like this, like snug down to kind of get a good view when you're cruising, so you can get a long range view. I don't know if it's possible to lower this seat. I haven't spent a lot of time looking into it, but I plan to, because when you go on long rides, it'd be kind of irritating because just how this windshield is, you lose a lot of visibility. That's my major complaint. Another thing, it may be hard to see with the outside light, was when this thing came, there's a bunch of air gaps in here that would let both snow, rain, and the cold in. And as you can see, I just caulked them all shut. I just took weatherproof caulking, just kept putting layers and layers and layers in there until I shut the whole thing. It took a lot of work to get it to function like I wanted it to, but now it actually keeps the cold out. So I know it doesn't look the nicest, but was the only way to really insulate the cab. This should have been easily solved with some stripping if you take the roof off and then put it back together with some proper weather stripping. But I talked to the guys who installed it and said it was just too much work to do it, and I was probably better off caulking it shut. So I did it that way. But something definitely Polaris can improve on this particular machine. Another thing is you'll see these floor drain plugs. This is actually the third one in this slot. For whatever reason, these things aren't designed to sit in here very tightly, so they pop out really easily. Great idea. Unplug that thing, pressure wash the floor out, and it has a spot to drain. But if you're kicking out your floor plug all the time and it's -10, you can feel that breeze coming in it. And so it's another thing that makes it so the heater doesn't work quite like it should, because it's competing against all these other airflow issues. But that's it. That's kind of my major complaints with it altogether. But I'll tell you, the next place we're going to go for a ride. My complaints aren't in the power department. It's got a lot of gusto. So let's go take a ride. All right, we're gonna a little video of it started. Starts easy, no problem. I was already driving it earlier today, but it was 30 degrees when I started it, so no issue. So we're gonna go for a ride. Easy shifting. And we're going to do this whole thing in 2-wheel drive just to show how well it does. The 4-wheel works great, and I've used it, but it does amazingly well. So all this is a mix of ice, mud, water, and we're going to go into the little nastier stuff. This is my big mud hole last spring, and all this is in 2-wheel. This has a lot of grab. It's very well balanced, and one thing I was really concerned about with the machine is how long it is. Will it get down my trails? Well, obviously this machine is about 4 feet longer and a foot wider, so I did have to modify a bunch of my trails, but it wasn't very significant. And the end result is I can actually go more places than I could before because of how well it's balanced, how long it is, how big the tires are. It actually, it's just kind of a little billy goat. It'll go wherever it needs to, and it has enough grab and enough power to get there. You can see this is all rutted up because this is where I really got stuck last time. Not with this machine, with my Honda. That's where a winch is mighty important, and this is a tough corner, but if I do it right, we sneak right through it, all in 2-wheel drive. And that's driving on stumps, going through soft ice. All this used to be cow pasture and combination of swamp, and it makes the ride really nice. Now, I have not disconnected the sway bars. I've certainly been considering it, but this variant's kind of a donut queen, and it's fun to do donuts. And the sway bars help safety in a donut scenario, so I've kind of left them just because of that. This trail is really rough. You need every inch of ground clearance you got, and it doesn't scrape, it does nothing. It rides really nice. I am being a little more gentle than normal, but it is a really nice machine in the woods. It's fairly quiet. I would actually compare it to my Honda in that way. Now when you get rip roaring, yeah, she puts out a lot more noise. Just rides really nice, does really good in the mud. It's not soft on the grass, so this time of year I absolutely don't drive on my nice lawn. I only drive on the trails just to spare them. And we're gonna get going out to one of my fields now. We're gonna have a little bit more fun. Look in the wheel. It does spin quite a bit, but it's pretty wet out. We're gonna switch it up just a little bit. We're gonna put in four wheel. One thing nice too about how this all wheel works is if you're going 10 miles an hour or less, you can be moving and it'll still engage the four wheel drive for you. If you're going above 10, it won't try to engage. You gotta slow down before it'll go into four wheel. So got it clicked in. I'm gonna clean off my windshield a little bit. Ready to go. Just how it's designed is, that was a big puddle and I don't have any type of barrier here and it barely got me. It really shed the water well. You don't see any water coming in here now. So how that's designed works really nice. So if you don't like just getting covered in junk, probably can't hear it, but the engine fan just kicked on. It hit 210 degrees. I generally leave it on the temperature. You want to know how hot it's running. One thing I'm thinking about modifying is getting the Gilliman tune. It's supposed to keep the engine a little cooler and give it a longer life. So that is one strange thing. I mean, why can other people tune it better than Polaris? I don't know exactly what to make of that just yet, but it is a fun machine right outside the factory. It'll let you do it. It'll disengage. My little secret trail, my tunnel trail I made this winter with the tractor. Trying to get more places to ride for my machine. We're gonna make a hard turn here. It's basically a hairpin turn. You see, it'll do it. If you build the trail right, it can make those very hard turns. This, through all these ruts in the ice, all that was in two-wheel drive. It just does awesome. Right? Where the four-wheel right now helps is in acceleration. If I press the pedal, the tires will just rip in the back and spin. Four-wheel does help out with that, but otherwise you don't. I haven't really needed it unless I was pushing in deep snow. Go down one of my little trails again. You liked what you saw. I hope I told you what you wanted to know. There is a ton of room for accessories in here. So like another one is a RAM mount. So I can put my phone here. I can pull up the map. It'll Bluetooth the music right to here. So it's another little small thing I'd recommend looking at. But I really like the machine. I'm really happy with it. If you have questions about it, you have any things you want to say about it, maybe something you want to know that I didn't cover, leave me a comment below. And please thumbs up and subscribe. I want to make more videos about this. I really do enjoy this machine. We're actually going to do some traveling this year and bring this thing with us and try to go do some adventuring. So thank you. Until next time.